Hello and welcome to another Overlord lore video, and today we are going to take a closer look at whether or not the sorcerer kingdom of Ainz Ooal Gown could indeed survive without Ainz Ooal Gown, meaning without Ainz, his undead tomb, or all of the undead that he and Pandora's actor have created to guard the city and to support the economy. And of course all other NPCs of the Great Tomb of Nezarec are also just gone. But before we're going to take a closer look at all of this, let's at first take a closer look at my Patreons and thank them for supporting my channel. Furthermore, I say thanks to all users of the YouTube thanks function for making one-time donations. Now with that said, let's take a closer look at what even would happen if Ainz and Nezarec were no longer around, and the first thing that would hit the Sorcerer Kingdom extremely hard would be the lack of undead labor, be it in farming, lumberjacking, building projects, in the bureaucratic state apparatus, or indeed the military and the police force. Thus the Sorcerer Kingdom would experience a sharp decline in economic activity and living standards, greatly diminishing the wealth and influence, and of course the internal cohesion of the now leaderless nation. And since the state would thus far have relied on the undead to keep the peace and public order, the public order mentioned would sharply decline, with crime on the rise, and since the guards alone probably could not deal with the rising conflict, simply because they are now far too few, and without Albedo being around drafting new policies to address the upcoming chaos, within a month, the now leaderless kingdom would teeter on the edge of a civil war or complete anarchy. But I think before hostile forces such as the theocracy could exploit the chaos, another force, or rather two forces, would step up to quell the fighting. Without the Sorcerer King's forces, Ainz's goblin army is easily the largest and most powerful force in the now leaderless Sorcerer Kingdom, and Ainz as well as her village, or rather the town Karn, deeply admired Ainz Ooal Gown. So it is likely that Ainz the Bloody would mobilize her forces in order to aid the beleaguered guard forces left in Irantel, effectively becoming the de facto ruler of the Sorcerer Kingdom, a territory encompassing the entirety of the former Kingdom of Ainz, the Iberian Hills, as well as the Great Forest of Top and the Great Lakes at the foot of Ezelesia. I also would believe that the Lizardmen would at the very least not turn hostile, and probably also send a few forces, led by Sarayusu, to aid in keeping the peace. And with the public order re-established in the only major town left after the war against Ainz, the Sorcerer Kingdom would actually survive the impact of Ainz disappearing. But another one would now finally see his time to shine. Emperor Jerknev is easily one of the most competent and able rulers in the New World, and one able to quickly adapt to changing circumstances. Only when faced with Ainz Ooal Gown's might and his supposed wit, he broke. And while his legions would be at half strength, due to half of them being already replaced with the undead forces of the Sorcerer Kingdom, Jerknev, after a chaotic month, would nonetheless take full control of the empire again, and quickly try to hire back all of the discharged personnel, or rather as many as possible, thus gaining another legion or two within a month. He furthermore would have to make up with Luder Paradane, who would now be deprived of a master, and likely also be an undead, but nonetheless, he would still be one who is fascinated with magic, and one who likely has learned more than just a few things from all of the lore Ainz Ooal Gown's book have held. And as an undead, as an immortal being of incredible potency, Fluder might also be able to at least contain the Cuts plane. And while the healers of Ainz's army would take over the healthcare system, and the goblin guards enforce the peace, Fluder will try to rally the undead behind him. And I believe that at this point he should be able to control at least a Death Knight or two, and perhaps even make an alliance with the ghost ship patrolling the Sorcerer Kingdom's borders, and flew there after a month or so, therefore could still recreate some of the economic benefits of the undead labor system, although it would still be a far cry from the one Nezarec has established. But still, the spawning undead from the Cuts plane would be used to address the labor shortage. And while the Sorcerer Kingdom would still be able to feed itself, whether or not the harvest is good or bad considering the surplus of food that would have already been stored during better times, Fludar would likely, together with an uneasy but determined Jerknef, try to regain favor and establish good relationships with the Dwarf Kingdom by sending whatever undead they could muster to work in the mines and tunnels of the dwarves, thus keeping the ores and metals flowing, resources that are vital for the military. And the Lizardman village, or rather city, would also greatly profit from this, since they would now be in the center of a major trade route with the Empire, the Sorcerer and the Dwarf Kingdom, as well as a considerable military force, able to perhaps extract some form of tribute or toll in order to fund their own military and the defense of the Lizardman Lakes. But while I have talked about the Empire and Jerknef, I would also find it highly unlikely that the Emperor of the Empire would just declare its independence and once again assume full sovereignty. Because with the undead gone, and his military diminished, and the Quagon forces being literally decimated to 10,000 individuals and likely deeply traumatized, Jerknef would stay with the Sorcerer Kingdom. And he would also quickly find Enri backing him up, so that she doesn't have to face the burden of rulership. Jerknef would actually rise and become the de facto successor of Ainz Ooal Gown. Now, since Enri would still deeply care about Ainz and since her army would still be the most powerful military force inside the borders of the Sorcerer Kingdom, Jerknef would not hold the title of king, but similar to the Stewards of Gondor, he would hold the office of Prime Minister, and only ruling until Ainz Ooal Gown returns. So within the first month of the Sorcerer King and his forces being gone, Jerknef would re-establish his rule over the Empire, over the now considerable bigger and still more wealthy and powerful land around Irantel. He would have to make up with Fludar, and use him in order to contain the Cuts plane, and secure the backing of an incredibly powerful army under General Enri the Bloody. And with the 8 fingers already gone, any crime that would have tried to establish itself would find it pretty hard to deal with the equally unbribable and uncorruptible goblin forces of Enri, only loyal to her and her alone. Jerknef's sharp wits, Fludar's undead, and therefore the mind control magic that the Sorcerer Kingdom would still have access to, would solve most of the conflicts within a month, thus keeping the core part of the Sorcerer Kingdom and its economy from collapsing and re-establishing an internal peace akin to the same kind of peace and security Ainz Ooal Gown had established. And in the second part of the series, we will now take a closer look at the foreign policies that this new kingdom would now pursue and the challenges it would face. For while Ainz, thanks to his might, could act a certain way, now with him gone, the theocracy will not only survive, but return to become a major player in this part of the region again. And with that said, I say thank you very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Please also leave your feedback down in the comment section, and as usual, I say my special thanks to Arder Daddy Arder, Bad Guy Ye, Bad Burrito 316, Beezer, Ben C, Brandon D, Chrissy, Crowley 0221, Sia, Crystal Prime, Dead Slime, Death is Mercy, Deathless Dragonlord, Demon Xenomorph 1987, Devin Downen, Ding Dong, Duckwagon, Dunkler Krieger, Dystopia II, Enigmatic Unicorn, Phil Walshivan, Guy with That Head, Hector Marino, Hoss, Huster, Jacob G, Gianna B, Jason, J. Morris, Chromius, Kyle R, Lee K. Long, Legendarius, Lelouch Britannia with a Mustache, Lexus Fox, Lord Nishikian Rai, Lord Touch Me, Lofrazer, Merovec, Mr. Shoes, Mr. Tweaker, Michael R, Michael Y, Nope, Oh Hell No, Normal Toad, O'Kill, Overlord General Gasper, Paddy Pantum, Personage, Primus 11, Rhinomere, Cune Caracos P, Shergox's Daddy, Shadow Lightning Wolf, Shrine Keeper, Super Tier Magic Batista Bomb, Supreme Cheese, Staris, Ted, Texas Deer, The Orc Warboss, Rock Ed Smasher, T.E. Wang, Vash Hawkeye, Vegito27, Venture Fanatic, Wilhelm, Xenokai, and Zonagon. Thanks guys. Anyway, have a nice day, and I hope to see you all again soon on my next video.